U.S. war against Islamic State began in August 2014, after the group captured vast sections of Iraq and Syria, becoming the most ambitious jihadi movement in recent history.
The group originally began as al-Qaeda's Iraqi franchise, but then joined other groups to form the Islamic State of Iraq. After U.S. troops mostly defeated them, fighters moved into neighboring Syria, where a disastrous civil war had begun in 2011.
Once U.S. forces withdrew from Iraq, militants returned and exploited Sunni Muslim grievances against the Shiite-led government. Then, after leaving al-Qaeda for good, the group began calling itself the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria.
It declared itself the Islamic State last summer, gradually claiming more territory on both sides of the Iraqi-Syrian border. It also attracted allegiance from jihadis far outside its homeland. And of course, it became infamous for its graphically violent propaganda, including the beheading of several American hostages.
The trouble is, the US finds its allies against Islamic State are also its enemies. In Syria, its bitter enemy is the government of President Bashar al-Assad, whose removal we've publicly backed since 2011. And in Iraq, a weak military means some of the strongest anti-ISIS fighters are Shiite militias, many of which are openly backed by Iran.
So instead of returning to Iraq and fighting ISIS, the U.S. has supplied airstrikes and a limited number of military advisors. The U.S. has used a 2002 law declaring war on al-Qaeda to justify airstrikes. But it has also introduced a standalone bill to define and authorize war against the Islamic State.
The U.S. has spent $2.5 billion on operations against ISIS, averaging nearly $9 million a day. The U.S. and its allies have conducted over 4,000 airstrikes against the group in both Iraq and Syria.
The history of ISIS's rise goes back for years, and nobody expects its fall to be clean or quick. But American reluctance to go back into Iraq could cause more problems than it avoids.